If you're a branch manager right now, or you're considering becoming a branch manager and wondering if you should look into taking the leap into becoming a mortgage broker owner, one path gives you more safety, support, and the other gives you freedom and the upside of being able to build equity, but it comes with more risk. So, which one actually helps you build your future better? Let's break it down. Hi, I'm Megan, mortgage broker mentor and founder of Collab Lending franchise and broker concierge. I coach branch managers, loan officers, and any aspiring broker owners on how to build a scalable, profitable mortgage business. One of the biggest crossroads I see in the industry is, do you stay in that branch role? Like, can you scale more being at a branch, or can you do the same thing but own the business? I went through the same thing when I owned and wondered, should I go over and have a branch and have more support behind me? So by the end of the video, we're going to walk through some pros, cons, talk about money, wealth implications, so that you can choose the path that fits your vision and your risk tolerance. So I know for many of you in the industry that this is a really hard decision. And if you've really only been on one side, you don't know what it looks like on the other side. And if, like me, you've been told things like you can't scale as a mortgage broker, or you lose control of the loan process, and many other things that people tell us along the way, I'm creating this video to help educate you that these opinions are not necessarily true. And maybe they're true from one place, but they're not true from all places. And unless you are listening to someone who has built a brokerage, especially the way that we at Collab build a brokerage, I just want to educate you that there is a better way, and there's a possible way to do things that weren't even available before. So when you're looking at running a branch or your own brokerage, there are some key considerations that we have to look at within these models. And we're going to walk through them. And we're going to go through some income structures and implications. We're going to talk about what types of responsibilities you have as branch and as broker owner, what control really means in these two different scenarios, and not just control of your loans, but control of the business in general. And then we'll talk about scalability and leverage and what it means at the end of your career when you are ready to take a step away or back, and how it can benefit you in both situations. So let's start out with the big one, which is earnings, right? Let's talk numbers. As a branch manager, you have some control, and yes, you probably or might have your own profit and loss. Where money comes in, you pick your expenses. I want to ask you this about having a P&L. Do you have the ability to change how much your corporate office charges your branch for things? How much if they take a quarter or a half off? How much they charge you for underwriting, processing? Can you decide to try to outsource any of the things that are on your P&L without asking for permission or somebody telling you they have to change the whole company model? Most likely not. And that's why there was a great article that Stratmore published, and it started comparing and showing branch managing versus broker owners. And both earn great money, but it did result in saying that the branch manager is capped by the decisions of your corporate office. Whereas broker owners, we get the whole basis point, the whole check, and that allows us to really work with our expenses so that we can make a bigger margin after expenses are paid. And that means changing anything in our business. And yes, you're going to pay for your team that works, the tech you use, compliance, licensing, but you are collecting that whole check again, and you can make decisions like, I'm not going to hire here under my P&L, I'm going to outsource it. And because I can do that, now I can reduce that cost. A great example of this is contract processing, even if it's with someone who sits in your office. And one of the biggest money plays also as a business owner versus being a branch manager is taxes. And nobody ever factors that in. The amount of money you can save paying taxes, one of the biggest expenses we all pay, is by being smart about how you are paid. Now, the risk and the downside is when you own the business, it also means you absorb any of the hits that occur. So if rates go up, applications go down, as a branch manager, typically you're still getting paid on every loan that closes. Whereas broker owners, they carry the full responsibility of their business. And at times that can mean that the whole commission check on a loan you've closed has to go towards your business's expenses. So you have to know these things going in. But the truth is, risk is also what creates wealth. The people willing to take the hits when others play it safe are the ones who end up owning businesses and owning the bigger checks when the payoff is there. The mortgage brokers who invest in their profits and in their business wisely are the ones that build wealth. So now I want to go into scalability and systems. And I would agree that in the past, it was harder to scale a mortgage brokerage. As a broker owner now, you're not limited by somebody else's ceiling and somebody else's process and somebody else's every decision. You can now create whatever company you want, and you can recruit originators. You can open satellite offices, get licensed in other states. You can add other businesses like insurance or title. You can add commercial loans, any type of loan you want. But the key is, in order to scale, you have to create systems. And that's what I didn't do the first half of owning my business. When I started to win was when I started to create processes and operations. I started using outsourcing versus hiring all these positions. And it did take me a number of years to figure it out and how to do it the right way. And I see many new broker owners going into the first few years of their brokerage hiring too many people and spending way too much money. And this is where getting consulting and coaching is so effective with somebody who's walked that path before. And I can't stress enough how important it is to have someone who can guide you with your decisions. They're not rocket science. It's just you've never done them before. It's that the cost of ignorance. And that really leads us to, if you can scale a brokerage in the right way, equity. And it's one of the most important things in our industry that people don't realize. As a branch manager, you don't own anything. Yes, you have this book of business you built, but you don't own the company. Somebody else can't buy the company. But as a broker owner, you can sell your brokerage. Somebody can buy your book of business. You can merge. And it's happening more and more in recent years. That's real wealth. That's equity in a business. Just like we talk to our buyers about building equity in their home, you can build equity in a business. Which side feels more appealing is really going to be up to you. If you want more consistent income, then, going into the branch model where it doesn't fall on you might be better. But if you want ownership and you have a solid book of business or you have loan officers that you've recruited in, you can absolutely make more money and build more wealth. If you want me to personally run numbers for you, your branch versus what a broker owner model would look like, you can schedule a meeting with me. There's a link down in the description. I'm happy to do that. Both paths, you can find success. It just depends on your goals and what you're comfortable taking the risk with. And if you want safety, steady income, stay as a branch manager. But if you want the freedom, the equity, building a legacy, something you can hand off to family, that your current team, then owning is definitely the way that I would recommend you're going. So if you want to see exactly what ownership could look like for you, just click that link below to schedule a free consult with myself or my team. We'll map out your personal transition, what it could look like, and what your income potential could look like based on making smart decisions. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.